Over the past 100 years, more than 50 ships and 20 planes have just vanished in the Bermuda Triangle. No wreckage, no goodbyes, nothing. Every disappearance feels like the start of a thriller, with no ending. No wonder people spun up wild theories. Time warps, underwater cities, space civilizations. And now, a scientist claims he has solved the Bermuda Triangle mystery. The Bermuda Triangle itself is a patch of ocean between Florida, Bermuda, and the Caribbean islands. Its size is not fixed, ranging from 500,000 to 1.5 million square miles. People blame this region for many mysterious vanishings. Here are some of the creepiest ones. In 1881, the Ellen Austin was sailing from Liverpool to New York when Captain Griffin made a risky choice, cutting through the stormy Sargasso Sea right in the Bermuda Triangle. Soon they spotted a drifting ship. No signals, no crew, just an eerie silence. After 2 days of watching, Griffin sent men aboard. They found the schooner fully stocked. Cargo, supplies, everything, yet completely abandoned. Griffin decided to put some of his own crew on the vessel and sail both ships to New York. But then a violent storm struck. When it cleared, the schooner was adrift again, and the men he'd placed on board were gone. Shaken, Griffin abandoned the ship and pressed on to New York. No one saw the schooner and the crew ever again. On March 4, 1918, the mighty USS Cyclops left Barbados, bound for Baltimore. Its hull was groaning under the weight of 11,000 tons of manganese ore. She never made it. The last words from the ship were routine and calm. Weather fair, all well. And then there was nothing but silence. No distress call, no wreckage, no bodies. In that 9-day window when she should have reached port, the Cyclops simply vanished with 305 men on board. It remains the single greatest non-combat loss of life in U.S. naval history. On December 22, 1967, the Witchcraft, a 23-foot luxury cruiser, slipped out just a mile off the Miami coast. Its owner and his friend planned nothing more dramatic than floating quietly to admire the Christmas lights. At 9 p.m., the Coast Guard received a calm call. The boat had struck something and needed a tow. There was no panic, mind you, no danger. They promised to fire a flare to mark their location. Less than 20 minutes later, rescuers arrived at the exact spot, but the sea was empty. No boat, no flare, no sign of the two men. The Witchcraft was gone. On December 5, 1945, 5 planes took off from Fort Lauderdale for what should have been a routine 3-hour training run, but soon after the departure, things went wrong. Their leader, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, reported his compass was failing. Convinced they were over the Florida Keys, he ignored protocol and steered northeast deeper into the Atlantic. His men argued, urging him west toward land, but he was still confused. The weather became worse and transmissions grew weaker. Fuel was running low. Taylor's final message was that once the first plane was nearly dry, they'd all ditch together. Then there was nothing but silence. The Navy launched a massive search. 2 rescue planes went out. But within 20 minutes, one of them also vanished, taking 13 crew with it. No wreckage along with 27 men in total was ever found. Then there's also a blood-curdling story of Great Isaac Rock, which was home to just 2 men, its lighthouse keepers. On August 4, 1969, a boat arrived there after repeated radio silence. The island was empty. Both men were gone. A hurricane had swept past days earlier, yet the lighthouse stood unharmed and supplies were untouched. Why would seasoned keepers abandon the safest shelter they had? Some think they were swept out to sea. Others claim smugglers or some other criminals took them. So far, the mystery of Great Isaac remains unsolved. And still, an Australian scientist, Carl Kruzelnicki, says nope, there's nothing paranormal here. And the US NOAA has been saying the same thing for years. Their claim that ships and planes disappear everywhere. The ocean's huge, storms are nasty, and sometimes bad luck just hits. NOAA even said straight up in 2010, "There's zero proof that stuff goes missing in the Bermuda Triangle any more often than anywhere else people travel by sea." Since way back in 2017, Crucial Nikki has been waving the same flag. The Bermuda Triangle isn't cursed, it's just crowded. He told The Independent that with so many ships and planes constantly moving through that stretch of ocean, which is already a pain to navigate, it only makes sense that some are going to vanish. On a percentage basis, the number of accidents there is no different from anywhere else in the world. And it's not just his opinion. Lloyd's of London, one of the biggest insurance companies in the world, has been saying the same thing since the 1970s. Even the US Coast Guard backs him up. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration also has a pretty non-spooky explanation. They point to natural forces like the Gulf Stream, a powerful current that can whip up violent weather in seconds. There's also the maze of Caribbean islands, which makes navigation way more complicated than people think. And then we should consider a strange quirk of Earth's magnetism that can mess with compasses, making them point to the true north instead of magnetic north. Crucial Nikki keeps popping up in the headlines too, repeating the same thing. Statistics don't lie. Even with famous cases like Flight 19, the explanations are straightforward. Bad weather, pilot error, or usually a mix of both. Sadly, the world doesn't want boring math problems. Conspiracy theories about the Bermuda Triangle, those giant sea monsters, the lost city of Atlantis sinking into the sea, are way more fun to imagine. Sure, the scientific explanation makes more sense, but it doesn't give you goosebumps the way a good sea monster story does. Interestingly, the Bermuda Triangle isn't the only mysterious place that swallows planes and ships. There's also the Bass Strait Triangle, a patch of wild, unpredictable water between mainland Australia and Tasmania. Its history is basically littered with eerie disappearances. Probably the most chilling tale is that of Frederick Valentich. It occurred in 1978. Just 20 years old, he was flying his little Cessna toward King Island. He radioed in about a strange metallic object circling above him. Moments later, there was only static. He was never found. To this day, no one knows what he saw or what happened to him. Back in 1973, the freighter MV Blythe Star simply vanished in the area too. Survivors were later drifting for days, clinging to life. The wreck was eventually located, but the circumstances surrounding how it sank still raised tons of questions. But the strait's grim tally stretches way further back. In 1797, it was the sloop Eliza. It was gone without a trace while salvaging cargo from the wreck of the Sydney Cove. From 1838 to 1840, a whole wave of vanishings occurred in the region. At least 7 ships on course to Melbourne vanished, full crews and all, and only 3 wrecks were ever found. The rest remained lost forever. There were many, many more disappearances after that. One of the latest happened on August 2, 2025. Gregory Vaughan, 72, and Kim Warner, 66, took off from Georgetown, Tasmania, in a light sport aircraft, heading for Hillston, New South Wales. They never arrived there. Searches turned up nothing. The Bass Strait has never needed help to make people vanish. Every incident deepens the mystery, yet experts insist it's not curses at work, it's the strait itself. Shallow waters, rogue winds that shift without warning. Sailors and pilots face a bad mixture of nature's worst every time they enter that corridor. And at the end of the day, most of these disappearances, both in the Bermuda Triangle and anywhere else, have logical explanations. Wild weather, tricky currents, human behavior, just bad luck. But when patterns emerge, our brains love to connect the dots, even if it's mostly a coincidence. Maybe that's exactly why these mystery tales will never truly vanish.
That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click on these videos and stay on the bright side.